What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Locks DFS NBA breakdown. My name is Narang. I'm from locksdfs.com, and I'll be breaking down this main slate, only a three-game main slate on DraftKings.com for Tuesday. What's the day? October 29th. Before I get into that, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so right here at ReallyAddy. And if you want to be entered into winning a free NBA or NFL season pass of your choice, all you got to do is leave a like, leave a comment, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and you'll be entered into winning that free pass. We announce that winner on every Thursday Night Showdown video that comes out on Wednesday night, so be on the lookout for that. It's coming up in just a few days, so make sure you guys like, comment, and we'd love to have you join the team. If you just want to join the team in general, go to locksdfs.com, go ahead and pick an NBA, NFL season pass, and join our DFS community. It's a lot of fun. It's growing. It's just a bunch of good DFS minds helping each other out every single day with all the sports. So, check it out if you're interested. But yeah, so I asked you guys when I first made these videos if you want to see position by position or game by game. And most, if not all of you, said position by position and to highlight some underpriced players. But since it's just a three-game slate, I figured we might just switch it up and go game by game here. It's going to be fairly quick. We're going to talk briefly about each three games on the slate, and sort of like my approach, how I'm approaching each game, where I think you can target value, and where I think you should pay up, which are really the three big questions to the slate. So let's start with this Atlanta-Miami game. Opened up at a 224.5 team total, since dropped to 224. Not a lot of change there. And we saw Miami open -7.5 and have since risen to -8. So, the big news in this game is that Jimmy Butler returns. He's going to play his first game for the Miami Heat today. And that's just going to sort of impact directly all these Miami guys that have just sort of been going off to start the year. That includes Justice Winslow, Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Harrow, and to an extent Goran Dragic as well. I mean, he's been doing pretty awesome off the bench for these guys. So, it's expected that Jimmy Butler is going to obviously return to the starting lineup, but a lot of people thought Kendrick Nunn would get knocked out of the lineup. It's looking like it's going to be Tyler Harrow and that he'll be coming off the bench. I think that price on him is kind of fair considering he should see an elevated usage rate off the bench. But in general, the minutes reduction that all these guys are getting just has me feeling that most of these Miami guys might be a bit overpriced. I don't think we're going to see Kendrick Nunn keep playing in this 40, like he got 40 minutes versus Minnesota. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think he's got upside for that. I think he'll probably stay around this 27-minute range, maybe 26 to 28-minute range, which he certainly, obviously, in the first two games, he reached value at, and even at this price, he would have reached value at. But I just don't know if I'm interested in going here at this price because it sort of limits your roster build to not so much the high price guys. You might need to go a little bit cheaper. I'll talk about a few guys that are a little bit cheaper than him that could let you roster, the LeBrons and Anthony Davises and Doncic's, and even Trae Young's of this slate. So I think Jimmy Butler, honestly, out of all these guys, might be my favorite at 7.7K. I think that might be a little bit cheap for him. There's a quote from Eric Spoelstra saying he's our guy. We're going to play him in response to if he's going to get limited minutes. So I don't anticipate his minutes being limited in this game. So for 7.7K, this is certainly a good matchup. It is what is projected to be a pace-up spot. Atlanta so far this season has ran at the 24th overall pace in the league, but I wouldn't take too much of that into account just because they've played some real slow teams to start the season. If I just click on any player, you see that they played Detroit, Orlando, and Philly, two of what we project to be some of the slower teams in the league. So I think over time, Atlanta was first in pace in 2018. So I think they sort of climbed back up into the top 10, maybe even top 5 in pace overall. So it is a good pace-up spot for Miami. I think maybe the Miami guy I'm most interested in outside of the backcourt is probably Bam Adebayo. This Atlanta team's been decent rebounding the ball so far, but they don't really project as a great rebounding team. John Collins, obviously a good rebounder, not a great defender though, and Alex Len has never really been too much of a feared rebounder. So I think this is a good spot for Bam. Bam's a guy who's definitely going to benefit from a pace-up spot. This game does have the highest over-under on the slate, so I think he's a guy I'm looking towards. And I think the lowest owned of the studs, speaking on the Atlanta side, is going to be Trae Young. But he's also interesting. I mean, he's going to be the lowest owned. I think it's going to go probably AD, then LeBron, then Doncic, then maybe Trae Young. But I mean, he's been a beast to start this season. He ranks 4th overall in the NBA in usage rate at 37.5. He's been taking anywhere from 20 to 25 shots a game. And as I mentioned, Atlanta's had some fairly slow-paced matchups. So if this game does happen to, I mean, he's got the highest over-runner on the slate. If it does go back and forth and shoot out, I think it's a monster Trae Young spot. And a lot of people aren't going to play him because he's real close in price to Doncic and LeBron. So interested in that, and that'll probably wrap up this game. Moving on to the Denver-Dallas game, though, I think this is where the value is going to mainly come in. Actually, let me touch on one more thing on this Atlanta game. Sorry. Cam Reddish's minutes got his minutes limit. He was on a 25 capped minutes limit, and now it's since been bumped to 30, which is essentially no minutes limit. But he's 3.3K. He starts, and if he plays 30 minutes at 3.3K, I really like what he does for your roster. He's not done really anything so far this year. But honestly, at 3.3K, even if you take the median score here, which is like 12 fantasy points, it's 4x. It doesn't kill you, and it opens up a lot. So, and he hasn't been shooting the ball well at all. So if he does find his shot, he's easily got 15, a floor of 15, and upside of 20, 25. Which if you get that on this 3-game slate, and you pick the right studs, you're going to be good to go. So. He's probably my favorite of the Atlanta value. But, there's a case to be made for guys like DeAndre Hunter, Jabari Parker. But I think if you can get 30 minutes from Cam Reddish, it's hard not to go there. Now let's move on to the Denver game. So I think if you don't want to pay for that 3K Atlanta value, I think this 4K Denver value is very interesting. I like what Denver's done with their rotations this year. They've just been super straightforward. I have it pulled up for you guys right here. This is essentially what all 3 of their games look like. It's basically starters, bench, starters, bench, starters. And so it's very easy to pinpoint the rotations. You don't have to, sift through all this. Okay, this guy comes in for him at this minute mark, but then this guy got in foul trouble this game. It's just very simple. Gary Harris has been seeing his pre-2018 injury minutes, and I love the price on him at 4.8K. I mean, he's gotten 35, 34, 29 minutes in 3 games. He's put up respectable scores in all 3. Slowly has improved his scoring in all 3 games. Gary Harris was a guy who was pretty comfortably in the high 5s, low 6s prior to his injury. And I just think it's a good spot for him to sort of meet value at 4.8K. He's going to have to play quite a few minutes out here defending Luka Doncic. I don't think they'll have Jamal Murray on Luka. I think it'll primarily be Gary Harris. It kind of boosts his steal upside a little bit versus Doncic, as well as just his minutes floor. So I think at 4.8K, him and Will Barton at 4.6K are both good plays. Will Barton, generally one of the higher usage rate guys on the Nuggets following Jokic and Murray. Just a solid minutes floor, 31, 21 in that Phoenix game, and then 29 for Sacramento. That Phoenix game is Jeremy Grant played really well there, so they kind of just kept him on the bench, which is always a risk with Will Barton. If he's not contributing offensively, then he's more of a liability defensively than anyone that would come off the bench, like Torrey Craig, Jeremy Grant. They're both much better defenders than Will Barton. But I think at 4.6K, he makes a lot of sense in what should be a fairly competitive game. It does have the lowest over-under on the slate, and the under has been bet fairly heavily, down from 216 to 213.5. It makes sense. Denver has been one of the slowest teams in the league this year. Sorry, this is preseason. Excuse me. Denver has been the slowest team pace-wise this year, and Dallas has been right around middle of the pack at 12th. I think that's sort of where Dallas is going to remain throughout this year, and I think Denver's a team that this season they do want to play slow. It caters to their best player, Nikola Jokic, to sort of slow the game down, make it a half-court game. But at home, Denver could run at a slightly higher pace just to have the altitude work in their favor. So I don't mind going to some of these Denver values. And I think for studs, as far as studs go, Doncic should probably come in, as I said, the 3rd highest owned stud would be my guess after the Lakers guys. He makes sense in a game that should be fairly competitive. It has got the tightest spread so far. And so he does make sense. But again, I think I do prefer these Laker guys in such a massive pace-up spot. But certainly no problem at all paying 9.5 for Luka Doncic. I think he definitely sees the 10K range eventually. So with that being said, oh yeah, one more note. Kristaps got 34 minutes last game, which was really nice to see because they said they're going to keep him between the low to mid 30s the first 2 games, and we saw him didn't really break 30 each time, 29, which is fine, but it's not 30. Seeing him get 34 minutes in that Portland game was pretty good, and he looked awesome with Luka Doncic. That pick and roll was like a thing of beauty that whole Portland game. So he's also in play at 8,200. But with that being said, let's move over to this Lakers game. So as we know, and I think everyone else knows now, Memphis is going to play fast. They're the second fastest paced team in the league this year. I don't anticipate them leaving the top 5 all season. They've got the roster to play fast, led by Ja, and some other young guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, even Jay Crowder likes to play fast. So I think this would be a fairly, I think this would be a really fast team. And the Lakers, on the other hand, they're not going to play too fast. They're going to play pretty slow majority of the season. They rank, where's that at? Preseason again. They rank 29th, just above the Nuggets in pace of play. But what that does render this is a pretty massive pace-up spot for the Lakers and for the Lakers studs. Both these two studs, LeBron and Anthony Davis, are in the top, 25 in usage. I mean, LeBron James at 29.8 and Anthony Davis at 33.1. Just awesome spots for them. Memphis has been one of the worst rebounding teams in the league this year. I believe they're 10th worst, So definitely helps boost Anthony Davis's floor. I love the usage on this guy. I love the minutes on these guys. I just think they're going to be, smash spots. I hope that the Lakers, or I hope Memphis can keep this game close, and I anticipate they will. I don't see this Lakers team blowing too many teams out, primarily because when teams blow other teams out, the second unit is going to have a big part, is going to have a huge role in that. And this Lakers second unit just isn't good enough to blow teams out. And so if they do blow Memphis out, I think it's going to be primarily on the backs of the starters like LeBron and like Anthony Davis. So that helps sort of mitigate their risk in a blowout. And I think if you want to run this back, even though it is a pace down spot, Ja got 32 minutes last game, but that game did go into overtime. So he's sort of been in this 25 to 28 minute range, which I don't love, but I do love the usage rate on him at 30. It's right around LeBron's usage rate, like 29.8. So I think he makes some sense if you do want to go like a balanced range with your lineup and maybe play a guy like Ja or like a Jimmy Butler or Jamal Murray, the Kendrick Nuns of the world, and make sort of a balanced team. I think that's fine, and I think Ja sort of fits that build. But for the most part, I don't think he's a guy you'll definitely be landing on, since you probably want to get a few more studs in there and a few more cheaper price guys in there. Playing a 7.1K guard sort of hurts that build a little bit. Dylan Brooks, viable play as well. He was hot last game. Saw 38 minutes, put up 30 fantasy points. Good spot for him to sort of replicate that. Jaren Jackson Jr., he ran into some foul trouble in that Brooklyn game and only played 24 minutes, but I think his minutes will sort of stabilize back into that 30-minute range. And he's a real high fantasy point per minute guy, so I definitely think he is also in play in the spot. And then as a little bit of Laker value, I think my favorite of these Lakers values is probably going to be Avery Bradley at 3,500. Very cheap price for him if he gets anywhere from 25 to 28 minutes. He's a starting point guard. Obviously, this is if Rondo remains out. He's a starting point guard, but he's not the primary ball handler. That's obviously going to be LeBron's responsibility, and a lot of the offense is going to be run through AD. But he's going to get a ton of wide open looks from three. He hasn't really shot the ball too well this season. He shot it awesome in preseason. But if his shot starts to fall at 3,500, he's going to easily pay off that price tag with the looks he's going to get. And again, it's a huge pace-up spot, so he's got increased steal upside, increased rebound, increased assist upside, and just all things that come with a high-paced game. So with that all being said, I think that'll sort of wrap up this look on the slate. I hope you guys did enjoy, as always. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want a chance to win a free season pass, just leave a like, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe. And you'll be entered into winning that on Wednesday night. So with that being said, best of luck, guys. And Christian will take tomorrow's video, and I will see y'all for Thursday. Peace.